Hello, everyone. It's just now 3 o'clock, so we'll get started with our webinar today. Thank you all so much for joining our webinar, Intro to Inbound, Creating Content that Converts. My name is Sarah DeAndre, and I'm your presenter today. I'm the Inbound and Content Marketing Manager at Stream Companies. So a little background on myself. I've been practicing inbound marketing for over the past 4 to 5 years, providing inbound strategy and services to a wide variety of businesses and industries, from retail and automotive to healthcare and technology, to kind of everything in between. If you'd like to reach me at any time after the webinar, please feel free to email me at sarah.deandre@streamcompanies.com. So just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat option to your right, and I will try to make sure to pause after any major section to make sure I'm answering your any questions in a timely manner. And any question I can't answer 100% at this time, I will follow up with you immediately after the webinar and get you a response as soon as possible. There are some action items, so you may want to have a pen and paper handy. During this presentation, we'll actually be walking through how to build your own content strategy foundation. So you may want to take some notes because it can relate back to how you would build your own strategy for your own business. So we'll be going through some templated items that you'll be able to relate back to how you communicate with your target audiences. And post-webinar, I will send out a link to download and watch the webinar recording as soon as that's available. And don't forget to find us on social media, Twitter at Stream Companies, and if you would like to live tweet us during the webinar, please use the hashtag Streaminar. And you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/streamco. Here's the agenda of what we'll be discussing today. We'll do a quick overview of inbound and content marketing and how the two tie together to get you more traffic and leads. And I will introduce you to your new quote-unquote customer. And I'll be discussing how we're going to use content to connect with those customers. And most importantly, which is why I assume most of you have joined the webinar today, is we'll be walking through how to build your own content strategy foundation. So we'll go through defining your audience, discovering content opportunities, creating content your customers care about, and outlining your own content funnel. And at the end, once more, I will pause again for questions to make sure I'm answering any questions that have come up towards the end of the webinar as well. So let's get started. First, let's discuss what exactly is inbound marketing. This is a definition that isn't really pulled from anywhere in particular. It's kind of been my philosophy of inbound marketing from using reputable sources like HubSpot and my experiences of just working with a wide variety of industries. So simply put, inbound marketing to me is a method of marketing that's focused on attracting prospects and leads to your business with content and aligning your business's marketing initiatives with the real logical progression of the customer buying process. Okay, so in other words, it's about realizing the new customer buying process and positioning the content at the core of your marketing strategy to engage visitors and make a meaningful connection that actually drives conversions for your business. So let's meet your new customer. Before we get started with actually building your marketing foundation, we need to know exactly who we're talking about and how these people are interacting with our websites, with the content and our ads that we're producing. We need to know exactly who these people are. And to introduce you to this new buyer, here are a few statistics that I found very compelling and I wanted to share with you all today. First, 61% of consumers say they feel better about a company that delivers custom content. They're also more likely to buy from that company. So content marketing is a huge factor in building trust with your prospects. And to every business, whether you're in the B2B realm or B2C, trust is gold, and it's the first step to making a lifelong customer. Sites that feature regular blog posts have on average 434 more index pages and more index links than other websites. So content marketing is a critical element in SEO as well. So in other words, content gets your business found online for people who are using organic search engines to find you. The more relevant, unique content you produce on a consistent basis through your blog posts or social media, the more you prove to major search engines like Google that your site is relevant to your target market. And this will help you increase your rankings over time. So keep in mind that content marketing, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's about building content over time, optimizing for those keywords that your target markets are using to find a business like yours, and making sure you're producing relevant content that they find helpful. And last but not least is this quote from Mashable, which is 84% of 25 to 34-year-olds have left a favorite website because of intrusive or irrelevant advertising. And during my research for this webinar, I felt this statistic was most captivating to truly conveying how drastically this customer buying process has changed. More and more people are actually becoming numb or even annoyed to ads or marketing messages and content that fail to make a connection with them or immediately express their value. So if you see an ad that promises one thing and you click to the landing page and it's a complete opposite message, you've probably lost that customer for good, at least their initial trust with your company. So what does this mean for my business? What this means is that marketing communication is evolving. Let's think about it. If your customers are seeking your business for the sole purpose of finding out what you can do for them, so why are we still talking over them when we could be talking with them? Now we're ready to actually go into building your content marketing foundation for your business. And so we know a little bit about how to use content to connect with your customers and how content assists them through that purchasing process. So let's start beginning the process of actually building this foundation. So a concrete, effective content marketing strategy is built on 4 main components: defining your audience, discovering opportunities, understanding what goes into creating content your customers love, and outlining a content funnel that guides your prospects through the various purchasing phases. And I'll get more into this last one later because that's actually the very most important concept of content marketing. So defining your audience. No matter how big your company is, at the end of the day, it's all about people. But many times when businesses are actually asked by other marketing agencies to define their target market, many resort to extremely broad generalizations. And unfortunately, when we're broad, so are our marketing messages, and this results in very disconnected marketing. So we need to stop generalizing and start getting specific. And this is probably where your first action item might come in. This might be where you want to take some notes on just some high-level details on how to fill in this information as it pertains to your own business. So the first step in defining your audience is defining the actual individual person. So this is an example of how you should start thinking about each individual target audience you want to market to. Literally give that person a name and a photo that you feel represents this person best. And you'll also want to focus on the 4 main descriptive categories. First, we're going to look into Mary, who is a fictitious persona that I've come up with. And we want to look into first her demographics. What's her age? Where does she live? What's her average income? What's her family status and typical occupation? And does she have any notable personality traits that stand out to you? Typical occupation is incredibly important for the B2B business. It also affects B2C, but not as much as B2B. If you're buying something from another business, typically your job or your occupation weighs on that decision-making process. So that's something B2B businesses should look into in a very focused manner. What's important to Mary? What does she care about most when she's shopping for the product or service your business offers? What are her expectations when working with a business within your industry? This is really important because we need to understand what type of person Mary is. Is she the person that enjoys going to Starbucks and she wants to buy a coffee and she knows that she's going to spend a little bit more money, but she is paying for the atmosphere of the dimmed lights and the music? Or is she paying for McDonald's because she just wants a quick drive-through, grab her coffee for $1 and be on her way? Knowing what Mary wants to experience with your business is absolutely critical in not only how you speak to her with your marketing messages, but also how you sell to her once you get her in as a lead. So this is about Mary's needs, pains, and problems. And right here is where you'll be pulling most of your content marketing ideas when you want to actually talk to Mary as a prospect. So what common problems is she dealing with on a regular basis? How is she searching for this problem? Is she going online, and what is she searching for? What kind of keywords is she typing in? And how does the product or service your business offers helps her with the problem she's experiencing? So how is your business going to be positioned as the solution to Mary's big problem? And last but not least, where does Mary hang out? What are the common blogs she visits? Are there any social networks in particular that she visits most frequently? And how does Mary consume information? Social networks are incredibly important because you don't want to use a social strategy and try to attack all networks at once. You want to remain as focused as possible. So again, for someone in the B2B industry, most likely your main prominent network might be something like LinkedIn or Facebook. For B2C, it might be Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter that you really want to focus on. It really depends on what your target market is and how they are using these social networks to discuss with each other as well as other businesses just like yours. And also, knowing how Mary consumes information is incredibly important. Is she kind of the busy worker that would rather just quickly listen to a video or a podcast? Or is she someone that actually wants to download a piece of content like an ebook or attend a webinar and spend the time there? So knowing that will also help you tailor your content to how she wants to consume it. Are there any questions at this time? Okay. Okay, next is discovering your content opportunities. So after you've defined your audience, it's important to investigate these opportunities to creating unique content that your customers are interested in, and something that's not overly discussed in your industry. So in other words, content opportunities are about establishing yourself as a thought leader by finding those holes in the marketplace that your customers are talking about, but your competition has yet to answer. So let's think about it this way. If I'm going to search for something that relates to how I can market my business better, if everybody's talking about the same thing, nothing's really going to make an impact on me, and I'm not really going to be sure who to trust over which business. So I'm going to be more attracted to that business that is really stepping out of the box, understands what pains and problems I have, and is really speaking to something that I haven't found on the internet 100 times over from their competitors. So it's about finding that hole in the marketplace and focusing your content on that area to become a thought leader. And here are a few outlets to consider when investigating existing industry content and content your customers want to read more about. So talking to your customers and utilizing your sales team. These are the top 2 places I would recommend you go to figure out what content you want to write about. Talking to your current customers will help you understand maybe when in the sales process were they feeling a little bit doubtful about your company before they decided to do business with you. What questions could you have answered early on that maybe would have helped you gain their trust more quickly? Utilizing your sales team is also a great outlet. These are the people that are on the floor talking to your customers on a regular basis. One of the most common mistakes I see is that there are higher level executives that might not be interacting with customers on a regular basis, and they not only try to define who their customers are without any experience with them regularly, but they also try to define the content they might care about without really knowing them. So utilizing those people on the front line of your business is absolutely key to understanding who your audience is and what content they'll appreciate and want to convert on. Staying active on social networks. So again, this goes back to understanding exactly who your target audience is and where they're engaging. It's about looking at the comments that they post, the questions that they're asking, maybe the type of content that you post that they're engaging with a lot or not at all. That will help you provide direction on which way you want to go with your next piece of content, whether it's a blog, an ebook, a webinar, or a video. Seeing what's working, what's not, and what questions your customers are asking on social networks is huge in finding out what relates to them. Also reading reviews, your businesses and your competition. This kind of goes back to talking to your current customers and figuring out what's their true input on doing business with either you or your competition. Where are either you or your competition falling short in the sales process that they felt they could have gotten more from you, more questions answered or more information to help them make the best decision possible. Another way is assessing your competitors' content strategies. So looking on their website, taking a look at the ebooks and blogs they're writing about. Is there some piece of content that they're focusing on over and over and over again? Well, that might be something that you want to go in a different direction in, or maybe put your own spin on it and utilize it that way. But understanding how your customers are already, your competition is already engaging with your customers is key to understanding what holes there are in the industry to write on. So third is creating content your customers care about. And while this may seem obvious, after you've determined the general content and topics that your audience is interested in, it's important to follow through with that content you create on those topics that helps your customer in some way. So in other words, no matter what you're creating, your content marketing objective should always remain the same. It's to help your customers do their jobs better, make a smarter purchase, or provide entertainment. And again, this goes back and forth depending on what industry you're in and who you're marketing to, that you're either providing entertainment for them to enjoy, or you're providing something that's really going to help them do their job better, help them perform better at work. So depending on your industry, that will vary. And while this information may seem very obvious to you, one of the most difficult tasks in creating a content strategy is to avoid that temptation to talk about yourself and your own business. Yes, it's a very harsh truth, but customers don't care about your business. They want to know what's in it for them. And if they think they're downloading a piece of educational content and they end up with a sales brochure, chances are they'll lose trust in your business immediately and will be very likely to return as a customer or recommend your business to anyone else. Your content should always be useful, valuable, relevant, and actionable. And your content should never be salesy, promotional, or diluted. Of course, you will have sales and promotional material, perhaps downloadable from your website, but you always want to make sure that you're transparent in promoting that type of material, that customers aren't downloading something and expecting something different. The last stage in your content strategy is building a content funnel. And like I said early on, this is one of the most important elements. As a common question I hear from businesses who are already implementing a content strategy is, how do I know I'm offering useful content and the right amount of content to the right customer? And to answer this question, try to think of your website as a content hub for every potential customer by offering relevant content for every prospect at every stage of the buying process. And think of this content as helping them make a better decision or progress to the next stage in the buying process. So here are the main stages of the customer purchasing process. They're aware of a problem, but it's not a priority. The problem becomes severe. They're exploring solutions. They've developed criteria. They're assessing options, and finally they make a purchase. Now this may vary depending, again, on your business or industry, and they might be tweaked or changed, but I guarantee you there are significant stages into making a purchase that you're probably not really considering right now, because all you see right now is the person who's ready to buy, which is, you know, a clear and understandable factor. So one of the issues I see is that most people are focusing their content and their marketing at the last stage of the buying process, so when they're already set to purchase. But what they should be actually focusing on is creating content for those at the very early stages of the buying process and making a connection with those potential customers early on and guiding, not pushing, them through their decision-making process. So creating content for the top of the funnel customers will help you position your business as a trusted resource in the mind of the customer. And by the time they're at the final stage of the buying process, you've already made yourself the obvious choice to do business with among the competition because you've already established that trust and brand recognition with them through content. So as you can see here, I've actually pulled apart this content funnel into kind of an outline where I'm going to be filling in some other information. So I have the stages of the buying process to the left, and I have two other columns, needs, questions, and problems of my target audience and supporting content. This is a great spreadsheet if you're trying to brainstorm that type of content and making sure you have content at every single stage of the buying process for every customer, no matter where they are. Because when a customer comes to your website, you can't be sure what stage they're at. They could be in the very, very early stages of just being aware of a problem, or they could be developing criteria. So you want to make sure that you are fulfilling those buyers or prospective buyers with relevant content that meets their needs, no matter where they are. So this is an example. Stream is big on practicing what we preach. So this is kind of a high-level look at some of the ideas that we go through when thinking about our target audience, like a business owner. What is a business owner's typical pains and needs and problems? What are the common questions they're asking? And then we look at those questions at the various stages of the buying process and match up content as the answer. Again, none of these are promotional or salesy. They're all 100% educational to help this customer through a problem and through a purchase, and hopefully we'll position ourselves as the trustworthy agency when they're ready to make a decision if they are deciding to go with an agency. And here's another example just to get a different idea from the automotive perspective. So again, the purchasing phase changes slightly. We have a recognition of a problem, I'm determining requirements, I'm researching vehicles, I'm developing criteria about those vehicles, and now I'm choosing a dealership. And these are some high-level needs, problems, or questions I may have as a new car buyer. So my car isn't dependable and I need a new car. I'm determining my requirements, so I need a vehicle that I can depend on during these severe winter conditions. And anybody on the East Coast who's survived these storms recently can surely relate to that. Researching vehicles, I'm considering an SUV, but I don't know where to start because there's so many options. And finally, I'm developing criteria. I have a family, I need 4 passengers, I need something that's fuel efficient and practical. And finally, we get to the end stage where, I've never purchased my car before, and how do I go to the dealership? How do I know I'm getting the best price? Again, to your far right, you will see the supporting content that we will create for those types of questions. So getting first introducing the customer to leasing versus buying. What's the difference? That's a common question many people ask very early on when considering a new car. But most dealerships aren't offering that kind of information. They start at the very last level of, trying to prove to them that they're the dealership to buy from when they could have been marketing them very early in the decision-making process. And there's a huge opportunity here, especially for the B2B industry or the B2C industry where you're selling something of large value. Typically, there is a very long process that goes into research and consideration and finally deciding on what you're going to buy. So there's a huge opportunity here, as you can see, to kind of build content into those common needs, questions, and problems. So as you can see, it starts with leasing versus buying, and then we go all the way down to the 7 questions to ask your dealership after the test drive. So the pain was, I never purchased my car. How do I know I'm getting the best price? Here's some helpful content to know how to kind of navigate through that buying process, questions to ask your dealership, things like that. Okay. And we're at the end of our presentation, so I did just want to let you know that if any of you are interested in registering for a free 20-minute inbound marketing evaluation with either myself or our VP of Digital Marketing, please let me know by going to offers.streamcompanies.com/inbound marketing evaluation, or you can simply email me at sarah.deandre@streamcompanies.com. Some of the actual takeaways are we'll investigate your website and take a look at how your digital marketing campaigns are working and driving results. We'll give you some tips on improving your search engine optimization, how to improve your quality of leads, as well as some conversion tips on maybe how to utilize content at a different stage of your marketing process to attract more of those quality prospects and convert more leads. So at this stage, I wanted to just reach out and see if there were any questions. And I do see a question that you missed the first part. Is this available on demand? And yes, I am recording this as we speak, so I will make sure to get this up as soon as possible. Okay, if there are no other questions, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate everyone taking time out to walk through building your own content marketing strategy. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at sarah.deandre@streamcompanies.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.